Welcome to Wellness Unpacked. You know, you're trying to get in shape, right? Like you're hitting the gym or maybe going for runs or whatever it is you do to stay active. But it's like every time you turn around, there's a new fitness trend or a crazy diet that everyone's swearing by.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's like a constant barrage of information.
Right.
Wait,
And it's so hard to know what to actually
it
believe.
really is, especially with all the myths and misinformation floating around out there.
Exactly. So today we're diving deep into some of the most common fitness myths and separating fact from fiction. Are you ready to have some of your long-held beliefs challenged?
I'm ready to bust some myths. Let's do it.
Awesome. And we're not just going to tell you what's true and what's not. We're going to break it down and explain the why behind it all.
We want you to understand the science so you can make the best choices for your body and your goals.
I love that. So let's start with one that I see everywhere. The idea that cardio alone is the key to toned muscles.
Ah, yes, the classic cardio myth. It's true that cardio is great for your heart health and for burning calories, but it's not the magic solution for building those sculpted muscles.
Yeah, there's an article from the Raffles Rehab Center in Singapore that actually says that cardio burns away muscle along with fat.
And that's true to some extent. When you do cardio, your body burns calories, and if you're not eating enough to make up for those burned calories, your body will start to break down both fat and muscle for fuel.
Oh, so that's why it's so important to fuel our bodies properly, even if we're trying to lose weight.
Absolutely. And speaking of fuel, let's take a moment to talk about something that can help you reach your weight loss goals effortlessly. Nagano tonic. Have you heard of it?
I have. It's a delicious and effective way to support weight loss, right?
Exactly. It's not just another health drink, it's a powerful elixir designed to make weight loss fun and effortless. You can buy it by visiting https://rebrand.lead Body Tonic or clicking the link in the description of this podcast.
I'll definitely have to check that out. Now, back to cardio. So if I'm trying to build muscle, what should I be doing instead of just endless hours on the treadmill?
Strength training is key. When you lift weights or do body weight exercises, you're creating tiny tears in your muscle fibers, and your body repairs those tears by building the muscles back stronger and bigger.
So it's not about burning calories during the workout. It's about stimulating muscle growth afterwards.
Exactly. And that increased muscle mass will help you burn more calories even at rest because muscle tissue is more metabolically active than fat tissue.
Okay, so more muscle means burning more calories even when I'm just chilling on the couch. Sign me up.
Right, it's a win-win. Now let's move on to another popular myth. No pain, no gain.
Ooh, yeah, I've heard that one everywhere. From the Raffles Rehab Center to MD Anderson and even Bill Burnett's Success Studio.
That's a myth that needs to be debunked right away. It's so important to understand the difference between muscle soreness, which is totally normal after a good workout, and actual pain, which is your body's way of saying, hey, something's wrong.
So how can we tell the difference? Like, how do I know if I'm pushing myself the right amount or if I'm about to hurt myself?
Good question. Muscle soreness usually feels like a dull ache that sets in a day or two after your workout, and it gradually fades away over time. But pain, on the other hand, is sharp, intense, or focused in a specific spot. That's a sign to stop what you're doing and assess the situation.
Got it. Pain equals a timeout.
Exactly. Now, speaking of things that might need a timeout, let's talk about this obsession with protein for muscle growth. The Raffles Rehab Center article mentioned that too.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's chugging protein shakes these days. Is it really necessary to eat that much protein to build muscle?
Protein is definitely important for muscle growth. It provides the building blocks your body needs to repair and rebuild model tissue.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the kicker. More isn't always better. Your body can only utilize a certain amount of protein at a time, and any excess protein will just get excreted or stored as fat.
So it's not about pounding protein shakes all day long. It's about getting enough, but not overdoing it.
Right. And don't forget, your body needs a variety of nutrients to thrive. So make sure you're eating a balanced diet with plenty of fruits, vegetables, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates.
So it's not just about protein, it's about a holistic approach to nutrition.
Absolutely. Now let's debunk a myth that might sound a bit counterintuitive. Some people think exercise hinders weight loss because you gain muscle.
Mm.
Raffles Rehab Center even mentioned this one.
Yeah, I've heard that too. So does hitting the gym actually make it harder to lose weight?
That's a myth that needs to be busted right away. While it's true that muscle is denser than fat, so you might see the number on the scale go up initially. Exercise, especially strength training, is a huge player in managing your weight.
So how does exercise actually help me shed those pounds, if it can sometimes make the scale go up?
Well, for one thing, exercise burns calories right. And we know that creating a calorie deficit is key for weight loss. But even more importantly, exercise helps prevent muscle loss while you're losing weight.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and that means you'll maintain a healthy metabolism and be less likely to gain the weight back later on.
Okay, so working out isn't about punishing myself or obsessing over the number on the scale. It's about getting stronger and healthier overall. That's
Mhm.
actually really empowering.
Exactly. And it's about feeling good in your own skin.
I love that. Now, speaking of feeling good, can we talk about finding the best time to work out? The Raffles Rehab Center article mentioned something about morning workouts. Is there really an ideal time to sweat it out?
This is a question that plagues many people. The truth is, the best time to work out is whatever time you're most likely to actually do it. It's all about consistency. So whether you're an early bird or a night owl, find a time that fits your schedule and stick with it.
So if I'm way more likely to hit the gym after work than before work, that's perfectly fine.
Absolutely. The key is to make exercise a regular habit whenever that works best for you.
That is music to my ears. You know what else would be music to my ears? If I could just target fat loss in specific areas. Can we really do that? Like, can I just do a million crunches to get rid of belly fat? Raffles Rehab Center mentioned this one too.
I wish it were that simple. Sadly, spot reduction is a myth. Your body decides where to burn fat from, and it doesn't quite work like sculpting clay. You can't just target one specific area.
So all those crunches won't magically melt away my belly fat.
Afraid not crunches will strengthen your abdominal muscles, but fat loss happens all over your body as a result of a calorie deficit, not targeted exercises.
Well, that's a bit of a bummer, but at least I know the truth now.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about something that sounds straight out of a horror movie. Muscle turning into fat when you stop exercising. Raffles Rehab Center and MD Anderson both talked about this one. Is there any truth to that?
It does sound a bit scary, actually. But don't worry, muscle and fat are completely different types of tissue, and they can't magically transform into each other. What actually happens is that when you stop exercising, your muscles start to shrink or atrophy. And if you keep eating the same amount of food, you might gain fat, which makes it look like your muscle has turned into fat.
So it's not a transformation.
Yeah.
It's more like muscle shrinking and fat potentially taking its place.
Exactly. This highlights the importance of keeping up a consistent exercise routine and adjusting your diet as needed.
Speaking of adjustments, let's talk about sweat. Does a super sweaty workout automatically mean I crushed it?
I feel like I saw something about this in that Raffles Rehab Center article.
That's another one of those pervasive fitness myths. Sweating is just your body's way of cooling down. It's not a direct measure of how many calories you've burned
Yeah.
or how intense your workout was.
So I shouldn't be judging my workout by how drenched my shirt is.
Nope. Pay attention to how you feel, how hard you're pushing yourself, and whether you're challenging your body. Those are the real signs of a great workout. Challenge accepted. You know what else is a challenge? Figuring out whether to eat before a workout or not. Will working out on an empty stomach really help me burn more fat? Raffles Rehab Center and Bill Burnett's Success Studio both mentioned this one.
This is the age-old debate of fasted cardio. And while it's true that your body might tap into fat stores a little more readily when you haven't eaten, it's the overall calorie deficit that matters most for weight loss.
So whether I grab a pre-workout snack or not, it won't make a huge difference in the long run.
That's right. It's far more important to make sure you're fueling your body properly for optimal performance and recovery, especially if you're pushing yourself hard.
Okay, so pre-workout snacks are back on the menu. Now, before we move on, let's take a moment to talk about something that can really help fuel those workouts and boost your weight loss journey. Nagano Tonic. This isn't just another health drink. It's a delicious, powerful elixir designed to make weight loss fun and effortless. You can buy it by visiting https://rebrand.lia-bodytonic or clicking the link in the description of this podcast.
It's a fantastic way to give your body the support it needs while enjoying the process of getting healthier.
Now let's tackle a fear that I know a lot of people, especially women, have.
Huh.
Will lifting weights make me bulky? I saw this myth mentioned in a ton of places, like Raffles Rehab Center, MD Anderson, Bill Burnett's Success Studio, and even the Mayo Clinic. Is there any truth to that?
It seems like this fear of bulking up is pretty common, but let's break it down. To gain significant muscle mass, you need a combination of intense training, a very specific diet, and sometimes even supplements. And for women, it's even harder to bulk up because of lower testosterone levels.
So lifting weights won't magically turn me into a female version of the Hulk.
Not even close. Strength training is incredibly important for overall fitness and well-being, no matter your gender. It builds strong bones, revs up your metabolism, and makes you feel powerful both physically and mentally.
I love that. Strong, not bulky. Okay, here's another one I've been wondering about. Is it true that as we age, we inevitably get weaker and there's nothing we can do about it? Bill Burnett's Success Studio mentioned this.
That's another myth that needs to be retired to the gym graveyard. While our muscle mass naturally declines as we get older, strength training can actually slow down that process and even reverse it.
So even if I'm not exactly a spring chicken anymore, I can still get stronger.
Absolutely. In fact, strength training becomes even more crucial as we age to maintain bone density, prevent falls, and improve our overall quality of life.
Hmm.
It's like investing in your future health and well-being.
That's incredibly motivating. It's never too late to start building strength.
Okay.
Okay, last myth for this round, and it's a big one. The magic number of 10,000 steps per day. I saw Bill Burnett's Success Studio mention that too. Is there any truth to that?
This is a fascinating case of a marketing campaign morphing into a widely accepted health fact. It all started back in the 1960s with a Japanese pedometer company, and somehow it's stuck with us ever since.
Wait, so that 10,000 steps goal isn't really based on scientific evidence?
Yeah. Not entirely. Walking is undeniably good for you, but the ideal step count isn't a one-size-fits-all number. It really depends on your individual goals and abilities. Recent studies have even shown that taking just 4,000 steps can significantly reduce certain health risks.
So it's not about hitting some magical number. It's about incorporating more movement into my day, no matter what that looks like.
Exactly. Find ways to be more active throughout your day. Take the stairs walk during your lunch break, or even just stand up and move around more often. Little changes can make a big difference.
I love that. It's about finding what works for you in your body. This whole conversation has been so eye-opening. It's amazing how many fitness myths we accept without questioning them.
It's like we've been following these unwritten rules without even realizing it.
Speaking of rules, there's one rule we definitely want you to follow, and that's checking out Nagano Tonic. It's a game changer for anyone looking to reach their weight loss goals without the struggle.
It's not a magic solution, but it can be a delicious and effective part of a healthy lifestyle.
Exactly. You can find the link to purchase Nagano Tonic in our show notes. Now let's move on to some more myth busting. Have you ever heard of muscle confusion? Apparently, switching up your workouts all the time is supposed to keep your muscles guessing and prevent plateaus. What's the deal with that?
Muscle confusion is a bit of a buzzword that's become super popular lately. While it's generally a good idea to have some variety in your workouts, the idea that you're constantly tricking your muscles is a bit oversimplified.
So it's not about keeping my muscles on their toes, so to speak.
Not necessarily. What really matters for muscle growth is something called progressive overload. That basically means gradually increasing the challenge over time. You could do this by lifting heavier weights, doing more reps or sets, or even changing the pace of your exercises.
So it's not about random changes, it's about strategic progression.
Exactly. Your muscles adapt to consistent, challenging stimuli, not just random changes for the sake of change.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's revisit fasted cardio. I know we touched on this earlier, but I'm still a little curious. Does working out on an empty stomach really force my body to burn more fat?
This is one of those myths that just won't quit. The logic is that when you exercise without eating first, your body has to use stored fat for energy because it doesn't have easy access to glucose from food.
So skipping breakfast before my morning run will magically melt away those pounds.
Not so fast. While fasted cardio might lead to burning a slightly higher percentage of fat, initially, the total number of calories you burn throughout the day is what ultimately determines weight loss.
So whether I eat before my workout or not won't make a huge difference in the long run.
Exactly. It's far more important to fuel your body properly for optimal performance and recovery, especially if you're doing intense workouts.
Okay, I think I'm finally starting to let go of that fasted cardio myth. Now here's what I know I've been guilty of. The idea that I can exercise to burn off specific foods. Like, I just ate a slice of cake, so now I need to run for an hour to make up for it. Is that a realistic approach to fitness and nutrition?
That's a common trap to fall into, but it can actually lead to a pretty unhealthy relationship with both exercise and food. It's like trying to balance a scale that's constantly tipping back and forth.
So I can't just use exercise as a way to cancel out my food choices.
Nope. While exercise is a vital part of overall health and well-being, it's not a magic eraser for those occasional treats we all enjoy. It's more about creating a sustainable lifestyle that includes both healthy eating habits and regular physical activity.
Okay, so it's all about balance and finding what works for me in the long run. That makes sense.
And remember, Nagano Tonic can be a valuable part of that balanced approach. It's a delicious and effective way to support your weight loss goals without feeling deprived. You can find the link to purchase in our show notes.
Right on. It's like having a little extra support on my journey. Now let's tackle a myth that I've heard from some pretty reputable sources, like the Mayo Clinic. They say that stretching before exercise helps prevent injuries. Is that true?
That's one of those pieces of advice that's been passed down for generations, but the research doesn't really back it up. While stretching can definitely improve flexibility and range of motion, there's no clear evidence that static stretching before a workout actually reduces your risk of injury.
So those pre-workout stretches I've been doing might not be the injury prevention superheroes I thought they were.
It's not that stretching is bad, it's just that it might not be the magic bullet for injury prevention that we once thought it was.
Okay, maybe I'll save my stretching for after my workouts then. Now here's another one that I've always wondered about. If I'm not dripping with sweat during a workout, am I really working hard enough? It seems like everyone from personal trainers to fitness influencers preach the gospel of sweat.
That's another myth that needs to be busted. Sweating is just your body's way of regulating its temperature, and how much you sweat can vary wildly depending on your genetics, the weather, and even your fitness level.
So I shouldn't be using my sweat level as a measure of how effective my workout was.
Exactly. Pay attention to how you feel, how much effort you're putting in, and whether you're challenging your body. Those are much better indicators of a good workout.
I'm starting to realize that it's all about tuning into my body and how it feels, rather than relying on these external cues. Speaking of external cues, let's talk about those calorie counters on cardio machines. Are they really accurate?
That's a myth that can be misleading and even discouraging for some people. While those calorie readouts on treadmills and ellipticals can give you a general idea, they're not always the most accurate.
So I shouldn't be taking those numbers as gospel.
Definitely not. They don't take into account individual factors like your body composition, your metabolism, or even how intensely you're working out.
So how can I get a better sense of how many calories I'm actually burning during a workout?
Paying attention to your perceived exertion level, tracking your heart rate, and using fitness trackers with more advanced algorithms can give you a more personalized estimate.
This deep dive has been incredible. We've busted so many fitness myths and given you the tools to approach your fitness journey with more confidence and knowledge.
It's all about separating fact from fiction and making informed choices that align with your goals and needs.
And don't forget, Nagano Tonic can be your secret weapon in that journey. It's a delicious and effective way to achieve your weight loss goals without all the stress and deprivation. You can find the link to buy it in our show notes.
It's a fantastic way to support your healthy lifestyle and make the journey more enjoyable.
So now that you're armed with all this myth-busting knowledge, what's one step you can take today to tweak your fitness routine? Maybe try a new strength training exercise or ditch that fasted cardio habit. Let us know in the comments.
We can't wait to hear your insights and support you on your path to a healthier, happier you. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay well. It's like thinking you can just eat a donut and then do a few jumping jacks and it's all good.
Right, like I can just undo my food choices with exercise.
It doesn't quite work that way. Unfortunately, our bodies are a bit more complex than that.
Okay, so maybe I need to rethink my whole burn-off strategy.
It's more about finding a sustainable balance between enjoying those occasional treats and fueling your body with nutritious foods most of the time.
That makes sense. Now, speaking of things we might need to rethink, I've heard from some pretty reputable sources like the Mayo Clinic that stretching before exercise is crucial for preventing injuries. What are your thoughts on that?
That's another one of those fitness myths that's been around forever. But the research on static stretching before a workout is actually pretty mixed.
So those pre-workout stretches I've been doing might not be the injury prevention superheroes I thought they were.
It's not that stretching is bad, it's just that it might not be the magic bullet for injury prevention that we once thought it was. Some studies have even shown that static stretching before a workout can actually decrease muscle power and performance.
Oh, really? I had no idea.
Yeah. So while stretching is important for overall flexibility and range of motion, it's best to save those static stretches for after your workout when your muscles are warm and more pliable.
Okay, maybe I'll rethink my warm-up routine then.
Yeah.
Now, here's another one that I've always wondered about. If I'm not dripping with sweat during a workout, am I really working hard enough?
The sweat myth. It seems like everyone's obsessed with how much they sweat during a workout.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Sweating is just your body's way of regulating its temperature. It doesn't necessarily correlate with how hard you're working or how many calories you're burning.
So I shouldn't be using my sweat level as a gauge of how effective my workout was.
Nope. Some people naturally sweat more than others, and factors like the temperature and humidity can also play a role.
So it's not about how much I sweat, it's about how much effort I'm putting in.
Exactly. Focus on pushing yourself, challenging your body, and listening to your body's signals.
Those are much better indicators of a good workout. Speaking of indicators, let's talk about those calorie counters on cardio machines. Are they really accurate?
That's a tricky one. Those calorie readouts can be helpful as a general estimate, but they're not always the most accurate.
So I shouldn't be taking those numbers as gospel.
Definitely not. They don't take into account individual factors like your body composition, your metabolism, or even how intensely you're working out. So take those numbers with a grain of salt.
So how can I get a more accurate sense of how many calories I'm burning during a workout?
Well, paying attention to your perceived exertion level is a good starting point. You can also track your heart rate or use a fitness tracker with more advanced algorithms to get a more personalized estimate.
This deep dive has been so eye-opening. We've debunked so many common fitness myths, and I feel like I have a much better understanding of how my body works.
That's what we're here for. It's all about empowering you with the knowledge you need to make informed decisions about your health and fitness.
And speaking of empowerment, let's not forget about Nagano Tonic. It's a fantastic tool to help you reach your weight loss goals without feeling deprived or overwhelmed.
It's a delicious and effective way to support a healthy lifestyle and make the journey more enjoyable.
You can find the link to purchase Nagano Tonic in our show notes. So now that you're armed with all this myth-busting knowledge, what's one step you can take today to tweak your fitness routine? Maybe try a new strength training exercise, or ditch that fasted cardio habit. Let us know in the comments.
We're excited to hear your thoughts and support you on your path to a healthier, happier you.
All right, let's wrap up this deep dive with one final myth that I think a lot of people can relate to, the idea that there's one perfect workout routine or diet that works for everyone.
Oh yeah, the myth of the one-size-fits-all approach to fitness. It's so important to remember that everyone's body is different, and what works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly. So instead of trying to follow someone else's plan blindly, it's all about experimenting, finding what feels good for your body, and creating a routine that you can actually stick to.
And don't be afraid to ask for help along the way. Whether it's from a personal trainer, a registered dietitian, or even a supportive friend, having a team of people to cheer you on can make all the difference.
Absolutely. It's about finding what works for you and your unique body and goals.
And remember, fitness should be fun. It shouldn't feel like a chore or a punishment. It's about celebrating what your body can do and finding joy in movement.
So true. And it's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. So embrace the journey and celebrate every step along the way.
I love that. Well, that's it for this deep dive into fitness myths. We've busted so many common misconceptions and hopefully given you the tools and knowledge to create a fitness routine that works for you.
Remember, it's all about separating fact from fiction, listening to your body, and finding what feels good.
And don't forget, Nagano Tonic can be a valuable part of your fitness journey too. It's a delicious and effective way to support your goals and make the process more enjoyable. You can find the link to buy it in our show notes.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay well.
That's a thought that's definitely crossed my mind more than once. Like, can I just exercise away a big meal?
It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
It really would.
Yeah.
But it sounds like maybe that's not the healthiest way to think about things.
Yeah, it's not really about canceling out food with exercise. It's more about creating a healthy and sustainable lifestyle that includes both nutritious food and regular physical activity.
So it's about the big picture, not getting caught up in these little food versus exercise battles.
Exactly. And remember, Nagano Tonic can play a role in that balanced approach. It can be a delicious part of a healthy lifestyle and support weight loss without feeling restrictive. You can find the link to buy it in the show notes.
Awesome. I'll definitely be checking that out. Now let's move on to another myth that I've heard from some pretty credible sources, like the Mayo Clinic. They say that stretching before a workout is crucial for preventing injuries. Is there any truth to that?
That's an interesting one. It's one of those things that's been passed down for generations, but the research on static stretching before exercise is actually pretty mixed.
So those pre-workout stretches I've been doing might not be the injury prevention superheroes I thought they were?
It's not that stretching is bad, it's just that it might not be the magic bullet for preventing injuries. Some studies have even shown that static stretching before a workout can actually decrease muscle power and performance.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive, right?
It is. So should we just skip stretching altogether then?
Not necessarily. Stretching is still really important for overall flexibility and range of motion, but it's probably best to save those static stretches for after your workout when your muscles are warm and more pliable.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'll definitely have to adjust my routine. All right, here's another one that I've always wondered about. If I'm not drenched in sweat during a workout, am I really working hard enough?
The sweat myth strikes again.
Right. It seems like everyone is obsessed with how much they sweat during a workout.
It's true, But the thing is, sweating is just your body's way of regulating its temperature. It's not necessarily a sign of how hard you're working or how many calories you're burning.
So those super sweaty Instagram selfies might not be the most accurate measure of a good workout.
Nope. Some people just naturally sweat more than others. And factors like the temperature and humidity can also play a role.
So it's not about how much I sweat, it's about how much effort I'm putting in.
Exactly. Pay attention to how you feel, how hard you're pushing yourself, and whether you're actually challenging your body.
That's a much better way to gauge the effectiveness of my workout. Speaking of gauging things, let's talk about those calorie counters on cardio machines. Are they really accurate?
Oh, those calorie counters. They can be a source of both motivation and frustration.
Right. Like sometimes I'm feeling super proud of myself for burning a ton of calories, and other times I'm like, wait a minute, I worked so hard. How is that all I burned?
They can definitely be misleading. While they can give you a general idea of how many calories you're burning, they're not always the most accurate.
So I shouldn't be taking those numbers as gospel.
Definitely not. Those machines don't take into account individual factors like your weight, your body composition, your metabolism, or even how intensely you're working out. So the number you see on the screen might not reflect your actual calorie burn.
That's kind of a bummer, but it's good to know. So what's a better way to track my calorie burn if I'm curious?
Well, you can start by paying attention to your perceived exertion level. How hard do you feel like you're working? You can also track your heart rate during your workout or use a fitness tracker with more advanced algorithms to get a more personalized estimate.
Those are some great tips. This whole deep dive has been so incredibly insightful. We've busted so many common fitness myths, and I feel like I have a much better understanding of how to approach my fitness journey.
That's what we were hoping for. It's all about equipping you with the knowledge and tools to make informed choices for your health and well-being.
And speaking of tools, let's not forget about Nagano Tonic. It's a fantastic way to support your weight loss goals and make the journey more enjoyable.
Just like a delicious little secret weapon.
You can find the link to buy Nagano Tonic in our show notes. So now that you're armed with all this myth-busting knowledge, what's one step you can take today to tweak your fitness routine? Maybe it's trying a new strength training exercise, ditching that fasted cardio habit, or simply focusing on how you feel rather than how much you sweat. Let us know in the comments.
We're excited to hear your insights and support you on your path to a healthier, happier you. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay well.
See you next time.